So this last spring, I planted 799 alliums. Those are onions, shallots, leeks, that sort of stuff. 799. I actually counted for 2 people. Ridiculous. But because of that, I had visions of crates full of gorgeous, big, huge storage onions and braided shallots. And yeah, then the marmot happened and I left too many sunflowers in my bed and I didn't fertilize well enough. So what actually grew was somewhat more modest. But there are still 799 of them because most of them did survive all of that. So today we are going to go pull them all up and see what we got. All right, so this is the bed with my Spanish yellow. Let me just double check. Yes, these were my Spanish yellow. And I did have a few Newburgh onions that are still in here. Petunia, I don't need your help. No, I don't. She's gonna help anyway, but. So I wanna just get the rest of these pulled. I do have some nice sized ones in here. All right, you're just gonna help. That's fine. That's a nice size one. But then, like I said, I also have a bunch this size. So I would say overall, my Spanish yellow did the best, but I don't have very many of them because, like I said, these were the ones that I had been pulling starting several months ago because they have been ready, which you know that an onion is ready when it does that. Normally they're like that, but if you just let it go and it bends at the neck, that means it is ready to be picked. And these have actually been ready for a long time. I've just left them there, which is why a lot of them, well, this one's actually growing a new head. But a lot of them have broken off their tops because they've just been ready for a long time. All right, let's go to the next bed. My pumpkins did not do well this year at all. This is what we have so far. Most of the ones in this bed were like this. And I'm pretty sure, and a lot of them had actually started to go to seed, which typically onions don't do that their first year. But this is the bed that the marmot kind of stomped all over. He didn't eat the onions or onion tops, but he definitely stomped all over them. And so I think they just were pretty stressed and just didn't do well. Sadly, this was the bed that had the majority of my onions in it, but that's okay. I'm still gonna have far more than I actually need. All right, let's go, let's see. I don't think I have any in here. Oh, yes, I do. I have a couple in here that were actually from last year that came back up, funny enough. All right, I think that's it in here. Ah. These are my garlic chives. And they are beautifully going to seed. So I will just let them do that right there. This is my shallot bed, and I'm going to pull some of these sunflowers out of here, which the horses will love. My dismal zucchini, yellow zucchinis that did nothing this year. All right, let's just start pulling these guys. These aren't much looking like shallots. Probably I'm going to have to just process all these and freeze dry them maybe, or freeze them. So I've left a few little guys in here, and I'll just let them come back next year. But for the most part, I have got them all up. Last but not least, we have our leeks. Well, and these guys, nasturtiums, I'm just gonna pull out. So I know why, especially the shallots did not do well. And it's because I left way too many sunflowers in the beds just because I just couldn't pull them. I was so excited to have so many sunflowers come back up, but it definitely affected my garden in a lot of ways, not just my alliums. I think I would have had much bigger harvests all around if I had not let so many sunflowers stay. This bed, I'm not quite sure why it didn't do as well. I had a lot of sunflowers on that end, but not on this end. So it seems like the stuff on this end should have done better, and it did not. I also know I have quite a bit of work to do on my soil in these beds still. And I wasn't great about fertilizing regularly. Oh, these are some nice size ones. Not too shabby. Other than a few decent sized ones, this is a pretty sad leek harvest, I have to say. It's a really good thing I planted so many onions and leeks and shallots. All right, I do have another row of onions in here, and then I think that's actually it. Oh, no, I have the red ones that I planted really late, so I might leave those. But let me pull up these guys. They're pretty small too. So the last of my alliums, these are all just green onions here. So I'm just gonna leave them. There's nothing really to do. I guess I could cut their tops and freeze dry them maybe. I don't know. I don't know that that's worth it. There's some red onions over on the other side there. You can kind of see them through, that we planted in like July. So they don't even have bulbs at all on them. So I think I might just leave them, let them come back next year. So we have the entire harvest here in the wagon, and we need to get it into the shed to start curing. So let's go do that. Well, there we have it. These are herbs, clearly not onions, but there we have all of our onions. The leeks will go into the house with me. You don't need to cure leeks. They just need to get chopped up and probably just frozen for right now. But yeah, I did not count them. I might count them at some point when after they've cured and I snip all their tops off. But I doubt there are 799. Regardless, I think we did pretty good, especially considering that my beds, like I said, the one got just decimated by the marmot and had to come back from that. The other ones were just really overcrowded in the beds with the sunflowers. So I didn't keep track. I didn't like separate the different varieties just because I don't think this is a good year to compare varieties. So I'm just gonna have to buy all the seeds again and try them all again to see. Let me just give you a little bit closer look here. So we did get a few like this, and these are the size, a lot of them that I have already harvested. So I did get a good bunch of this size, but you know, most of them were like this, not very big at all. But they are still onions and they are still edible. So we are just gonna let them all dry. These are the guys that their tops pulled off. So we'll just wanna use those first. This, I don't know what that is. It's like 3 onions in one, 4 onions in one. This was one that came back from last year. So it also needs to be used up pretty quickly. And then just the handful of red onions that I had missed right there. And then these are all of my shallots. They are very dismal. Most of them are teeny tiny. So, I mean, they're not even hardly, that's not. Yeah, there it is. Yep, that's a shallot, supposedly. So, yeah. And then just a handful of other yellow onions that we had in that bed with the leeks. It very much smells of onions in here now. But yeah, so they will cure here for about 2 weeks. And then like I said, I will cut off the green parts, although I might try braiding some of these. Maybe the bigger ones I'll braid. The small ones they're not gonna store well. So we're gonna need to use them up or process them in some way, shape or form. So for those, I'll just cut the stem end off and the root end, brush off any dirt that is still on them. And I need to get some crates because I actually don't have anything to store this many onions in. All right, well, I am looking forward to next year's onion harvest, and I will see you next time. Bye. As a little bonus here, I actually decided last minute to pick this bed of carrots. Although the tops look beautiful and gorgeous, my carrots ended up all pretty short and squatty. Not really sure why. This bed was not overcrowded in any way, shape, or form. I even thinned the carrots. So not really sure why they ended up this way, other than that, like I said earlier, I still need to do a lot of work on my beds to get organic matter in them and just nutrients. So that's probably one of the big issues. So we will be adding more compost next year to all of the beds. I still, even with them being short and squatty, did get a beautiful harvest, and they taste amazing. If you've never had homegrown carrots, you are missing out. All right, so this is the bed with my Spanish yellow, and I also planted my carrots here. Let me just double check. Yes, these were my Spanish yellow, and I did have a few Newburgh onions that are still in here. Petunia, I don't need your help. No, I don't. She's gonna help anyway, but. So I wanna just get the rest of these pulled. I do have some nice sized ones in here. All right, you're just gonna help. That's fine. I actually have had the water off in these beds for a while because we had our first frost. Oh, actually, a few days it's been off. So things hopefully won't be too muddy, but that's a nice size one. But then, like I said, I also have a bunch this size. And it just started raining. Awesome. So I would say overall, my Spanish yellow did the best, but I don't have very many of them because, like I said, these were the ones that I had been pulling starting several months ago because they have been ready, which you know that an onion is ready when it does that. Normally they're like that, but if you just let it go and it bends at the neck, that means it is ready to be picked. And these have actually been ready for a long time. I've just left them there, which is why a lot of them, well, this one's actually growing a new head. But a lot of them have broken off their tops because they've just been ready for a long time. All right, let's go to the next bed.